The silence in Dallas has finally been broken by the sound of a front office that is finally waking up and realizing that status quo is a death sentence in this league. We are witnessing a total identity shift right before our eyes, with a coaching staff overhaul that is sending shockwaves through the division and a free agent hit list that proves the Cowboys are finally ready to stop window shopping and start buying. The news just broke on 2 massive coaching hires and 5 specific free agent targets that will define the 2026 season, and you are not going to believe the names that are officially on the radar. If you want to be the first to know every single roster move, coaching change, and locker room rumor during this explosive offseason, do me a huge favor, like this video, share it with a friend who lives and breathes Cowboys football, and hit that subscribe button right now to join the family. Let's get right into the fire because the coaching staff is being rebuilt from the ground up under defensive coordinator Christian Parker. We have been begging for a fresh perspective, and the team just delivered by bringing in 2 young, hungry assistants to fix the trenches. First up is Kyle Fuller. Now, let's clear the air immediately. This isn't the former Pro Bowl cornerback you're thinking of. This is the former NFL offensive lineman who spent over half a decade grinding in the pits of the league. He was drafted by the Seahawks, played under the legendary Pete Carroll, and bounced around enough locker rooms to know exactly what a winning culture looks like. After his playing days, he didn't waste any time, jumping into the coaching ranks at North Carolina and App State before the Raiders grabbed him as a quality control specialist. The Cowboys saw enough of his technical prowess to name him the new assistant offensive line coach, replacing Ramon Chinyoung. This is a massive hire because it brings player perspective, coaching to an offensive line that desperately needs to find its mean streak again. But the defensive side of the ball is where the real intrigue lies. Enter Demetri Brim. He's officially coming on board as an assistant defensive line coach, though there's a lot of chatter behind the scenes that his role might actually be a hybrid assistant and quality control position. Brim is a name you need to remember. He was a standout player at UCF before cutting his teeth as a coach at Nebraska for several years. He's been a GA, an analyst, and a position coach at Lehigh. Last year, he was back at UCF as an assistant D-line coach, and his reputation for developing raw talent is through the roof. When you look at the landscape of this defensive staff, it is getting crowded with talent. We've got Christian Parker calling the shots, Marcus Dixon handling the main D-line duties, and Al Harris coaching the secondary. Adding Brim and Robert Muschamp to the mix shows that Mike McCarthy and Parker are obsessed with having specific sets of eyes on every single player. Do you think flooding the room with all these specialized assistant coaches is the secret to fixing the mental errors we saw last year, or is it a case of too many cooks in the kitchen? The coaching staff is just the foundation, though. The real question of the day that everyone is debating across Dallas is this: if you had to pick between signing an elite, high-priced edge rusher like Trey Hendrickson or bringing back a workhorse like Javonte Williams, which one do you think secures a Super Bowl ring first? Drop your choice, Hendrickson or Williams, in the comments right now and tell me why. Now, let's talk about the bombshell report from Calvin Watkins at the Dallas Morning News. He highlighted 5 specific free agents the Cowboys are targeting, and the implications are huge. First, we have to talk about the backfield. There is a very real scenario where we see the return of Rico Dowdle. Now, look, we all know Rico. We know he's a physical runner who can give you 1,000 yards and average 4.6 yards per carry. He's a 230 carry type of guy who will give you everything he has. But here is the catch: he's being viewed as the contingency plan. The Cowboys hit a home run when they signed Javonte Williams last year. He was arguably the best free agent signing this team has had in a decade. Williams gave us that elite burst and the ability to break tackles that changed the entire rhythm of the offense. But Williams is switching agents, and we all know what that means: he's looking for the bag. If the bidding war for Javonte gets into the stratosphere, the Cowboys might retreat to the safety of Rico Dowdle. It would be a safe move, but is safe going to get us past the divisional round? Speaking of fixing problems, let's look at the linebacker room. It was, quite frankly, painful to watch at times last season. The lack of depth and the missed assignments were glaring. That's why the interest in Nakobe Dean is so electrifying. Dean was the heartbeat of that historic Georgia Bulldogs defense. While his NFL career in Philadelphia has been hampered by some nagging injuries, limiting him to just 10 games recently, his ceiling is still sky-high. He's a heat-seeking missile on the field. He's not the biggest guy, and we know the Cowboys usually love their length and long defenders, but Dean has a secret weapon, his connection to Christian Parker. He knows exactly how Parker wants to structure a defense. He recorded 128 tackles and 9 tackles for loss in 2024 when he was healthy. He isn't an elite coverage guy yet, but his instincts in the run game are exactly what this roster is missing. If Dean is the high-ceiling gamble, then Alex Singleton is the guaranteed production move. Singleton has been a tackling machine for the Broncos. If you look at his stats, the man is consistently near the top of the league in total stops. He's a veteran who understands gap integrity and doesn't miss. Watkins pointed out that Singleton wants to win a championship, and if Denver decides to move on to save cap space, Dallas should be the first team on the phone. Between Dean's explosive potential and Singleton's veteran consistency, the Cowboys have two very different paths they can take to fix the second level of their defense. Honestly, at this point, any name that isn't already on the roster feels like an upgrade because the bar was set so low last year. But let's get to the heavy hitters, the guys who get paid to hunt quarterbacks. The first name is Malcolm Koonce. This is the sleeper pick of the offseason. Koonce is coming off a year with the Raiders where his production dipped, but you have to look at the context. He was returning from an ACL tear, and that Raiders defense was struggling to find its identity. But in 2023, Koonce was a monster. He is an undersized, twitchy edge rusher who thrives in 5-man fronts. With Christian Parker expected to run more of those aggressive fronts, Koonce fits the mold perfectly. He might not be the guy you want holding the edge against a heavy run set, but on 3rd and long, he's a nightmare. If you pair him with someone like Jadeveon Clowney or Marshawn Kneeland, you start to see a rotation that can keep pressure on a quarterback for 4 quarters. Finally, we have to talk about the massive elephant in the room, Trey Hendrickson. This is the big fish. This is the move that would tell the rest of the NFL that Dallas is all in. Hendrickson is a perennial Pro Bowler, a guy who lived in the backfield for the Bengals. There are rumors that Cincinnati might try a tag-and-trade scenario, but let's be real, the Cowboys aren't giving up a 4th-round pick just for the right to pay a guy $30 million. However, if he hits the open market, that changes everything. Hendrickson is 31, and he's dealt with some minor injuries, but he is a top 3 free agent in this entire cycle. He isn't known for his run support, but in this new Cowboys system, he wouldn't have to be. His only job would be to get to the quarterback. The problem is the money. The Cowboys have this internal rule where they rarely go above $6 or $7 million for an outside free agent. To get a guy like Hendrickson, you're looking at $20 to $25 million a year. It would require a total shift in how Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones do business. But isn't that what we've been asking for? We've seen the results of the bargain bin approach. We've seen what happens when you try to fill holes with 1-year, $2 million flyers. The fact that the Dallas Morning News is even floating these names suggests that the conversation inside the Star is changing. They know the fans are restless. They know the window with this current core won't stay open forever. Whether it's bringing back a familiar face like Rico Dowdle to stabilize the run game, gambling on the pedigree of Nakobe Dean, or shattering the bank for a superstar like Trey Hendrickson, the moves made in the next 30 days will determine the legacy of this coaching staff. The coaching hires of Kyle Fuller and Demetri Brim are the first dominoes to fall. They are bringing in new blood and new eyes to a system that had grown stale. But coaches can only do so much. You need the horses to run the race. The targets are clear, the needs are obvious, and the pressure has never been higher. This offseason isn't just about filling roster spots, it's about a total philosophical shift. We are moving away from the old way of doing things and toward a defense that is younger, faster, and more versatile. The question remains, will the front office actually pull the trigger, Or will we be left talking about what could have been once again? The countdown to free agency is on, and the eyes of the entire football world are on Dallas. Every move, every signing, and every coaching tweak is a piece of the puzzle. We're going to be here covering every second of it, so make sure you stay locked in. The 2026 season starts right now.